Hello and welcome to Bedson and Coffey Unfiltered,
where we will be discussing fitness, lifestyle, healthy eating habits, relationships, gas station performance pills, answering romantic queries. You have anything else, Tyler? Is there anything? Do you need help with anything right now? Because I feel like I'm in a position where I can help you with it.
I mean, and everything else that we come across as we go. But you know how it's going to be, right?
It's going to be unfiltered. So we are here today with Jeff Alexander, and Jeff, along with his wife, they run the Chewjitsu Open jiu-jitsu competition. And the name of it, the Chewjitsu Open, is that of Nick Albin, who is both my jiu-jitsu coach and Jeff's. Jeff, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm one of Chewy's black belts. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 21 years now. I've been competing for almost all of that. Pretty much started from day one competing. Started off with MMA. Yeah. Did MMA for about 10 years or so. And really didn't like jiu-jitsu the first 10 years of my competition experience. I was a striker. I was a ground and pounder. Didn't really train much in the gi. And then after I got out of MMA, I fell in love with jiu-jitsu and really started taking it seriously. But we've been doing these tournaments for a couple of years now. My wife and I run them together. And this is it's a side gig for us. We've got a full-time job. We both have full-time jobs that are our primary responsibility, source of income. And this is just a fun side gig that has kind of grown over the last couple of years. And it's a whole family affair. Our kids are involved. They compete in them. They train.
Yeah, I've seen your kids compete there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when you guys did the first comp and it was done at Derby City. It was kind of like to fill things out, I guess. And the response was so awesome. I mean, I remember going and there was standing room only. Like the gym was packed.
It was wild.
Yeah. And so that led you guys to actually, that first year, how many comps did you have?
So the very first one we did that you're talking about was July of 2023. And it was on the hottest day of the summer. It was blistering hot.
Yeah, we had
out.
Fans in there. I remember now.
We had missed fans that we picked up like the morning of. It was like a last second thing because of how big it had grown. And we had such a huge turnout. That gym was packed. And it was such a hit. We're like, all right, we need to grow this thing. So that's when we partnered with 3 Step Sports and New Way Combat. Actually, it was just New Way Combat at the time to take it national. And we had 9 tournaments in 2024, 8 in 2025. We've got 6 scheduled for 2026.
Yeah, and so the one in Louisville just happened. Myself and Clinical Lab sponsored it, and I was there, and it was an awesome show. What is the next one we have in line there?
So we're actually trying something new. We're going to Huntsville, Alabama.
Nice.
So we're going to go down there on May 16th. It's going to be at the University of Alabama in Huntsville at their University Fitness Center. We haven't officially announced it, so this is the official announcement that we're going to Huntsville. We've been working with Brandon McCaffrey of the PGF for about a year or so now. Just he did a PGF qualifier in Gatlinburg with us, and we're just talking different things. And he said, "Hey, can you guys come down to Huntsville and hold one in my neck of the woods?" And we said, "Absolutely," and we're making it happen.
Yeah, Brandon is such a good dude, and he runs a great show himself with the PGF. So I think that partnership's going to be awesome with you guys working together. The rule set and the layout for the Chewjitsu Open is very unique, and I love the way you guys go about things with that. There's no points; it's sub only for adults. You care to tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So this is really all Chewy's idea. The tournament was Chewy's brainchild back in 2023, and he approached Eric and I. Eric and I had been working with New Way Combat to host other tournaments, and he approached us and said, "Hey, I want to have a tournament. I want to solve all of the problems and pain points that competitors have with other tournaments out there." And we started talking about what are those pain points. One, you typically don't get very many matches. Sometimes it's a one and done, a single elimination. So you may travel for hours, you get one match, you lose, and you're done. Weight classes are also a problem. So you may cut weight. Sometimes jiu-jitsu guys will cut 10 or 15 pounds for a weight class, only to find out that there's no one else in their weight class. So they have to bump back up to where they would have been had they not cut and go against bigger guys now. So we want to figure out the weight class problems. And also, we didn't like how people can game the system with points rules or like certain overtime rules. So we tried to figure out how do we solve all those problems. And Chewy's idea was, let's do sub only. So someone can't just get a 2-point takedown and lay and pray the rest of the match. And he said, let's do Madison bracketing. And I'd never heard of it. And Madison bracketing basically means, so we still have weight classes. We just don't create them until after people weigh in. So people sign up, like all the beginners sign up, all the intermediate sign up, all the advanced sign up, all the experts sign up. And then on weigh-in day, we group them together in groups of 5 or up to 5. And it's close to their nearest weight. So you'll still be competing against someone who's 3, 4, 5, 6 pounds away from you, like you would in any, normal tournament.
Sure.
We just don't create those actual weight classes till the day of the tournament. And what that's done for us is it's created a really exciting rule set where 3 out of 4 matches end in submission. Most tournaments, it's maybe 2 out of 5 matches end in submission. People get more matches. They often get 4 matches per division for 8 matches if they're doing 2 divisions. So people get a lot of matches. They get a lot of experience. It's a fun rule set, a lot of action, a lot of activity. And it's worked really well for us. And that was all Chewy's idea.
It makes for a very exciting comp. I mean, even from the spectators' point of view, because everybody's hunting for that submission because, and feel free to elaborate on this, but, whenever you have that bracket of 5 guys, you're going to have 4 matches. And a submission gives you more points towards your total than just a judge's or ref's decision. So everybody's hunting for those submissions. So it makes for a better entertaining match and a more fast-paced match, and people are actually looking for the finish.
You're absolutely right. So with our Madison bracketing, we do round robin brackets. Most tournaments are single or double elimination, but we do round robin, so everybody goes against everybody. Well, pretty much every tournament out there that does round robin, it's based on wins and losses. So if you win the most in your group, you get first place. Well, we want to push those submissions. That's the whole purpose of, in our opinion, jiu-jitsu, right? It's to neutralize your opponent. So we wanted to push those submissions. So we said, if you win by submission, you get 2 points. But if you win by a referee decision, you only get 1 point. So instead of trying to lay in and pray and eke out a decision, you better be trying to finish your opponent. And again, that's resulted in 3 out of 4 matches ending in submission, which is just unheard of. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I want to say the submission rates for the Jiu-Jitsu Open is quite, a bit higher than most others.
We're anywhere from 72 to 78%. So again, 3 out of 4 matches roughly.
Yeah.
So a vast majority of our matches end in submission.
Makes it more exciting for sure.
Very much, yeah. Your brother has been in jiu-jitsu for a bit, right?
Yeah. He competes in like masters. I think he does what are the Killer Bees in Georgetown.
Yeah, he trains with I think Gomez's
It's a good
team.
gym.
Yeah, Gomez. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
he's
a really
been
good
doing that
gym.
Wow, he had like a freak accident doing jiu-jitsu, and I probably could pull up a picture so we could put it on here, but he was just moving around on the mats, and his toe completely became dislocated and broke off of his foot. So I remember he sent me the picture of this, and I thought, did you run over your foot with a lawnmower? Like, what happened? He's like, nah, I just moved wrong doing jiu-jitsu. So now he has to tape his toes. But everybody always asks him, why you have to tape your toes? And he shows them that picture, and they're like, oh, okay.
I remember.
Man, that same thing happened to me.
Oh,
I
man.
pivoted whenever I was trying to escape a leg lock, and I played on my foot, and I pivoted my foot, and my foot moved, but my toe stayed in place because it was stuck to the mat, and it just did like a 90-degree turn.
Yep.
And it's pretty gross. Probably not as bad as your brother's, but it broke
been.
my toe, and I still 2 years later I have to tape my toe every time I roll.
What you said there, I remember. God, I'm about to tell how old I am. It's probably maybe 15 years ago, 16 years ago, but I was at a combat jiu-jitsu competition. It's kind of like MMA and a gi, like combat sambo.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy gets thrown, and he had tried to plant his foot, and tried to stop it. Like he slid off the guy's hip, and he tried to plant to stop it. And the guy, swept his leg and took him down, but his foot jammed up in the mat. Well, it popped his toe over to the side of his foot, like you said, but it was a compound fracture. The bone just jumped out of his toe. So like, from looking, it looked like he had 6 toes, but one was just the bone.
Oh, that's gross.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's so gross.
Now, as far as go ahead, sir.
No, sorry, good.
The now with the sub only, that's for what age groups and up? Because I know for the little kids, it is points, right?
So at first we did it for everybody 9 years old and up, and anybody 8 and under were points only, no submissions for a safer experience. But then feedback we got from our customers, from our competitors and parents and coaches was they wanted the more advanced 8 and under to be able to do submissions. So now we only do points only, no subs for 8 and under beginner white belts. But if you're a gray belt, if you're an intermediate 6-year-old, you're doing submissions like the rest of the tournament.
That's awesome.
And it's why, when we first started this, and I'm thinking, like, I can't imagine a 6 or 7-year-old wanting to do submissions. So whenever we made that decision, that was new for last year. I was a little uneasy on how it'd be received, and people love it. And we've got these 6 and 7 and 8-year-old kids out there just throwing on arm bars and rear naked chokes, and it's impressive how good these kids are at such a young age.
Yeah, there's a gentleman from my gym, Mick, and his sons Lachlan and Charlie competed at the one in Louisville recently, and Charlie's like maybe 9 or something. And I was like, "How'd it go, big guy?" And he's like, "It went good." And I was like, "How'd your match go?" He said, "I won." And I said, "That's awesome." And I forgot that he could do submissions now. And I was like, "How'd it go? Tell me about your match." He said, "Well, I won with an Ezekiel choke." I was like, "Oh, nice. Way to go, bro."
I was probably like a purple belt before I knew it. I could hit Ezekiel chokes. That was never my move. So to see kids like that hit, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, these kids are getting spoon-fed jiu-jitsu from the time they're just little, And I was having this conversation with somebody. They were talking about, like you have some guy who's, in his mid-30s or 40s, and he's a blue belt, and he's got maybe 4 or 5 years experience. And then you got this kid that's 17 and he's a blue belt. And it's like, yeah, well, he's been training since he was like 5. He's got, 3 times the experience of that guy. So that's why he feels the way he does. Like he's been doing jiu-jitsu since he could walk,
And I see a lot of that in these tournaments. We'll have 14, 15-year-olds sometimes that bump up to adult if they don't have enough matches in their teen division, or if they just want to bump up to adult and they're the right size, we'll let them bump up. And, they may be a gray or yellow belt as a teenager, and they oftentimes will go against beginner, sometimes intermediate adults. And these gray, yellow, orange belts have been training for, 6, 7, 8 years. And they do really well when they bump up to the adult division, because those belts don't always equate, the same way to the adults, the same way the adults are.
Yeah.
But it's impressive, the number of years, the number of experience they got. You think about a green belt, a teenager that's a green belt has been competing for 8, 10 years oftentimes. And whenever they when they turn 16, they often get their blue belt. Blue belts haven't been training for 6 or 8 or 10 years. So it's like these green belt teenagers are absolute killers when they start competing in the adult division.
Oh, absolutely. And they still got that youth and that young gas tank.
Yeah. And the flexibility and the ability to recover from injury and from exhaustion quicker.
That's what I've always heard about, my brother, even and other people I know that do jiu-jitsu, they're always like, I don't like going against the squirrely young kids because they're just hard to beat. And they like humble you real quick. So I don't know. Getting humbled by a 15-year-old sounds like a common thing in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, I mean,
we've got this kid at my gym. His name's Wyatt, and he's 15, 16, something like that, maybe 17, but he's a teenager. And I'm not sure exactly what belt he is, but I'm a black belt, right? I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm like, man, I can go and tear this kid up. This kid humbles me. He hasn't submitted me yet, but I'll tell you, he has scared me. He has threatened me quite a few times, and he's going to get me one of these days. So it really is impressive what these kids are doing, just starting from a young age.
Yeah, I mean, you think, 20, 30 years ago, like jiu-jitsu is almost like unheard of, especially in smaller areas, And most people's first experience with it was watching UFC. And then now to see what it is, and you've got kids that, I mean, it's a common sport now, and you've got kids that are just in kindergarten doing jiu-jitsu in America. Yeah. And it's really awesome because you see that and you're like, okay, this is the next generation of athletes, and they're going to be doing things that, were just unfathomable 20 and 30 years ago.
Both of my kids started at 5 years old, and so my son's been doing it for a little over 3 years. My daughter's been doing it for a little over a year now. We've had 4-year-olds in our competition. 4-year-olds sign up to compete in jiu-jitsu. And it's pretty cool to watch them get out there and go after it. I wish I'd started that young. I may be a little bit better by now.
Oh, shoot, man. That's I think about that all the time, but it is what it is, man. I'm just glad to be able to do it again, and be involved. Yeah. And work with awesome guys like you and Chewy and everybody. So is there anything so you had the PGF qualifier at the Gatlinburg show last year. Is there going to be any more of those this year?
There's definitely some talk about it. We've been talking with Brandon to see what kind of a relationship makes sense for us to benefit both parties, and we've got some things that we've been talking about and planning. Right now, he is gearing up for PGF World Season 9. He just had his draft, I think, last weekend or so.
Yeah.
So that's his focus right now. And once that season's over, we'll talk again and see what makes sense. And Huntsville, we don't have a qualifier plan for that because his next season isn't coming up until later in the year or next year. So that's just going to be a Jiu-Jitsu Open. But there certainly are some discussions on what makes sense, and we'll hopefully have some exciting information at some point in the future.
So with the Jiu-Jitsu Open, one interesting thing about it is a lot of competitions, well, most don't offer monetary prizes. But those that do, it's normally reserved for certain brackets, certain divisions, the more advanced divisions, and so on. But that's not the case with the Jiu-Jitsu Open, right?
That's right. So I'd say most tournaments that offer cash prizes, most of the time it's to the experts, the black belts. And if they do both men and women, most of the time the women make half. Very rarely do women get paid the same as men in jiu-jitsu competition at any level. And very rarely do all belts get paid the same as well. If some tournaments do white belts, they'll often pay them less than the black belts. That's not how we do it. We believe in treating everybody the same. We believe in treating white belts. Our actual motto is we treat white belts like black belts. We pay women the same as men, so everybody gets the same cash payout regardless of belt or gender.
Yeah.
The way we do our program also is unique. And this is something that you participated in, right? By sponsoring our last tournament in Louisville. When we get sponsors, we don't do that to make money off of the sponsorship. We pass that money to our athletes. So whenever we get a new sponsor, the money that you all pay to the program gets passed on directly to that absolute cash prize. So it increases the purse. So athletes get paid more. So thank you all for participating in Louisville. And I think, Eli, you did Louisville last year as well.
Yes, sir.
So we appreciate that because that helps our people get paid.
Well, that's whenever I was talking to Erica about the sponsorship, she was discussing like how much that would adjust the athlete's pay. It wasn't like, okay, well, this sponsorship, well, this is going to get you this or that or whatever. Like it was all coming back to the athlete. And, having competed some myself, like that was awesome to hear. And I feel like it's one of the more athlete friendly and, competitions out there. And I'm not just saying that because I'm affiliated. I mean, just across the board, like the things you guys do for the athletes, making sure they have a good experience, offering the cash prizes across the board. It really is a great competition for the athletes.
That's our sole focus. Again, whenever we made this back in 2023, it's how can we make this a better experience for the athletes? And also thinking about the roles. So Chewy, Erica, and I, we all three run the tournament together. We all have different roles. And that's really where my wife comes into play. Erica, her whole focus is how can we make a better guest experience for both our spectators, our coaches, our parents that come to watch, and also the athletes that are here. So she's really the mastermind behind thinking of every little thing that can give them a better experience that you just don't see at other tournaments. One simple thing, which a lot of people don't think about, is chairs. We have chairs at our tournaments, and most of the time you go to a jiu-jitsu tournament and you sit in bleachers or nothing because there's nothing at all, and you just stand or you sit on the floor. And there's also barriers between you and the mats. We don't do barriers. We want people to get up there close to the action. We let coaches kneel on the edge of the mats, and we provide chairs for all of our spectators, our competitors to sit and relax in before they go on the mats or just while they're sitting there watching all day. So we just think about how can we make the guest experience better overall for all parties.
Yeah, that is something that people don't consider. Like anytime I go to a comp, if I know that I'm going to be, at least if I'm competing, I bring chairs with me because I don't want to have to try to find one or fight for one. And I want to be able to be comfortable and relax. So I bring me a little folding chair. But you guys always have things set up, and it, and even for the spectators, it makes for a nicer, experience.
Yeah, that's definitely our focus.
So as far as, say, somebody that's maybe new to competing, what would you say for somebody who's yet to compete and was considering competing? What kind of advice would you give for someone?
That's a great question. I would say, first off, the Jiu-Jitsu Open is an excellent competition if it's your first time. It's also excellent for experts who are looking for that challenge. So I think we hit all of that. But why I think it's good for new competitors is you're going to get more than one match. You don't have to worry about losing your first match and not getting any more, or even losing your first two and not getting any more. You're going to get a bunch of matches. You're going to get a bunch of mat time. So you'll get plenty of time out there to get your experience in. But as far as the mindset going in, I actually just had this conversation at the Chewjitsu Open in Louisville. A guy was really nervous. He hadn't competed in many, many years. And I was talking about it. I was like, hey, man, don't forget that you're choosing to do this. Like, you want to do this. So you should enjoy doing this. So smile. Just take a moment in your match. Make sure you're smiling. Make sure you remind yourself that you're here because you want to be here, not because you're forced to, not because it's a job, not because there's a lot of pressure on you. And if you lose, so what, man? It's just a jiu-jitsu tournament. There's no pressure if you lose. No one's going to care. No one's going to make fun of you on social media. Like, it's just jiu-jitsu. Go out and have fun, learn from it, and try to get better. And it's awesome because that competitor I was talking to afterwards, he's like, man, I won all my matches. He's like, I went out there, I relaxed, and I enjoyed it, and I won all my matches. So I'm not saying it was because I gave him that advice, but I would like to think that helped, hopefully helped take that edge off of him and just helped him have some fun.
Absolutely. And, I think, especially, when you're beginning, you put such a, you put competing on such a high level, and you think that the importance of your outcome is life changing. And I think sometimes people forget, like, there's a skill set to competing as well. And, even if you've been training in something, whether it be bodybuilding or powerlifting or jiu-jitsu or anything, having yet to compete, well, that's a bit different. And then, the more time you get in there, wins or losses, either one is going to be experience. And, the gaining experience in a competitive setting, that's going to add to that skill set because, again, competing in itself is a skill set.
It's all about the mat time. Yeah. So it's practice, just like you train in the gym to get better. Well, the mat time is also training to get better at competing. Mm-hmm. So you're right. Just wins or losses, they don't matter, especially not as a white belt or a blue belt or a purple belt. I mean, they don't matter unless you're trying to be the best in the world and trying to go to worlds and all of that, which is just a small fraction of the industry. Just go out there and have fun and relax. Win or lose, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think, sometimes we might put too much emphasis on that, but there's a really good chance that jiu-jitsu is not going to pay the bills for most of us. And, just using that to enjoy ourselves and to just test ourselves and do something that you enjoy. I mean, that's going to be, that's the idea, right? As far as...
Yeah, absolutely.
So someone had asked a question. They had asked why jiu-jitsu instead of other martial arts, and I'll let you take this one.
Oh man, this is like the hot topic out there, right? On which art is better. I would say there's a handful that I would say stand above the rest. Jiu-jitsu, wrestling, judo, and then some form of striking. I think kickboxing, just to have the knees and the elbows and the legs involved and not just boxing for punching. But I think all of those helps you helps you be well-rounded. But if I had to pick one, I would think that jiu-jitsu is probably the most applicable in real life in a variety of situations. I think about any striking, you're pretty much only on your feet, and once you get down to the ground, you're kind of out of your element. And most fights, whether on the street or you're being assaulted, heaven forbid that ever happens to you, most of the time it ends up on the ground. Wrestlers, solid top game, put them on their back. It's a challenge, right? That's where they feel uncomfortable. Jiu-jitsu is both a top game and a bottom game. It's a control aspect. So if you're being attacked, you can tie people up, you can tie the limbs up, you can control them. I just think that jiu-jitsu is overall the most well-rounded if you had to pick one to protect yourself in real-world situations. That's part of the reason I want my kids doing it. And actually, I just talked to my daughter about this the other day. She's like, Daddy, I want to quit jiu-jitsu and I want to play softball. And I'm like, well, baby, I think it's really important that you know how to protect yourself. If something would ever happen in this world, you've got to be able to protect yourself and your friends and your family. And, maybe you'll be a mommy one day and you'll have children. You've got to protect your children. And I think jiu-jitsu will help you do that more than anything else in this world.
Yeah, that leads to a good question. So I know a lot of people are getting their kids involved or they want to. How would you recommend kids get started with jiu-jitsu at an early age?
I would say just show up. And that's what a lot of people think about is, how do I get started? How do I get my kids interested? You just got to show up. That's the number one thing. Show up and keep showing up. Find a local gym, call around, ask questions, go check out a free class, get a good feel for the vibe. You can also do some research online to see, you know, what people recommend. But you just got to show up and do it. And it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be hard. Jiu-jitsu is not easy. So it's going to take some time to feel comfortable in the mat, sometimes months, sometimes years. But you just got to show up, and it'll pay off after, you know, in the long run. How's the connection for you guys?
We hear you just
You guys
fine.
have a good connection?
Yeah.
Good, fine. Okay, great.
Yeah.
You're a little blurry on my side, but it's as long as I'm good on yours.
Yeah. That may just be how we look. That's just, yeah. We're
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we will. Right. So, okay. So as a 33-year-old, I'm always curious, like, what do you recommend to get started at that age? Like, not having any experience at all. You want to go and try it out, but you're not sure about it.
Really, I'd say it's the same thing. Just show up. You don't have to do any prep work. You don't have to have any wrestling background or any sort of, you know, combat sports background. You don't even have to be an athlete.
Yeah.
I think jiu-jitsu is truly for everybody. Everybody has a different journey. You have the athletic types that come in and get it naturally. You have the less athletic types that come in and take a little bit longer. You also have the less athletic types that come in and just absolutely kill it. I think it's funny. You'll see these memes online of these you know, tall, scrawny, dorky looking dudes and standing next to this big jack dude. And like the question is, who would win in a fight? Well, that tall, scrawny, dorky dude is probably some jiu-jitsu world champion who would absolutely win in a fight. You just would never know it by looking at him. So I think the most important thing is just show up, go to your local gym, do a trial class, see how you like it, give it a couple sessions before you make a decision, because day one is going to be tough. But you gotta show up. You gotta keep showing up, and you'll start getting a feel for it, and it'll become your new passion.
And I've tried to talk Tyler into doing it because I know he's very fond of feeling his skin against other sweaty men. So, you know, that's.
I tried to get into jiu-jitsu. I do a lot of striking classes and stuff like that. That's kind of what I've been into. But I tried to get into it, and I was a bodybuilder for 10 years, and the first 3 weeks I got into it, I was training with a guy, and we were rolling, and my knee just popped. So we both stopped. Next few days I couldn't walk, and I haven't been back since because I'm like, I don't know if my body's been built for this because of how big I was at the time. So I feel like I had to like lose muscle and lose weight to even be able to move like that.
I think it definitely is different for bodybuilders. Jiu-jitsu is a sport or art of finesse and using leverage. Strength matters. Strength absolutely matters. So if someone ever says strength doesn't matter in jiu-jitsu, they don't know what they're talking about. Strength absolutely matters. But I think the challenge that bodybuilders or just big, strong guys in general have when they try to transition jiu-jitsu is they try to muscle their way through everything. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a bit of reprogramming your brain. And actually, Eli, I've rolled with Eli a couple of times, and Eli has done a really good job of focusing on the finesse and focusing on the technical side of it and the leverage, and not just trying to brutalize people with his strength, which is quite impressive. But so
thank you very much.
Having to reprogram your brain a little bit to focus on the technique and just not try to muscle through people is helpful. But also, to your point, your body doesn't bend the same way as that tall, scrawny guy, right? Or that 16-year-old kid whose ligaments can stretch. So I would think just being mindful of what your limitations are and what your strengths are and trying to use those, and also having partners that recognize that. Make sure you have partners that are familiar with who you are, what your experience level is. They're not there trying to beat you up or just to prove a point because you're a big guy. It's having good people you can trust to roll with so that neither of you get injured.
100%. And I think sometimes, you know, especially somebody that has maybe not been around jiu-jitsu or, you know, combat sports in general, I think maybe they might have the wrong understanding coming into it. Like they have to win every round or everything's, they got to be so hard and stiff. And it's, you know, in my mind, you know, like kind of in training, especially, you know, keeping it playful and trying to learn. And if you're so stiff and you're so rigid, it's really difficult to learn. And especially, you know, whenever you are coming in and you've got a lot more muscle mass, you know, you're going to gas so quickly. Like you don't think it. Like you might look in shape, but if you're constantly stiff and you're tense, you're going to gas so fast. And I think a lot of times when bodybuilders transition to something like that, like even with myself, you know, at one point being much more muscular, you know, being over 240 at one point, there's a point of diminishing returns when it comes to muscle mass when we're dealing with something that requires a good bit of muscular endurance. Like all that muscle requires blood be pumped to it and oxygenated blood get to it and so on. And for me, when I think of, trying to compete, I would not want to compete at 240 because I know that my body would not like that and I would not feel good. But I think some people, in their mind, they think that everything is very hard and stiff, and no, and I've rolled with Jeff, and Jeff can be very nice and very soft and just absolutely tie you into a pretzel.
Well, to your point, I like what you said, that you don't have to win every round. You can go out there and just flow. You can go out there and let your partner work. And I'll do that quite often especially with lower belts. So when I'm going against a white or a blue, I'll just let them work. I'll give them my back. I'll let them take, and I'll just go slow. I'll go through the motions. Now, I won't let them submit me, but I will let them get into a dominant position and give them an opportunity to submit me before I start to defend and fight back. So yeah, I think you don't have to win every round. You're there to learn all the different aspects, and again, just being a good partner. I think it's important through it all.
Yeah, and I think that's something too, is like whenever you are stiff and you're rigid and you're all that, you don't have the same kind of control. So that makes you not a good partner because you're always risking someone's safety. If you're stiff and you grab something, I mean, you might not mean to jerk it, but or if that person doesn't know and they try to pull out and they turn the wrong way with a knee bar or leg lock, and then they can injure themselves. So especially in those moments, showing somebody a bit of grace and being mindful of yourself.
Yeah, whenever I'm doing on leg lock days, especially back when I was teaching at Derby City, I had 2 rules. I said rule 1 was catch and release. So if you've got someone in a submission, you don't have to finish it. You don't have to grip it and rip it. You've got it. Make eye contact with them and then just let go. Be a good partner. Don't hurt your buddy. And then number 2 is tap early. So even thinking about the having to win every round, a lot of times injuries occur because someone doesn't want to tap. Or to your point, they're all nervous and they're rigid and they're all, everything's tight all the time. Just tap, guys. Just tap. It's okay. It's okay to reset and try it again and give that person a victory. Like it's okay when you're in training.
Yeah, and that's the whole learning part of it, right? I mean, like, you're not in there trying to kill your training partner, because if you don't have a training partner, you don't get any better. Yes. So being a good training partner yourself is key. If you want others to be a good training partner for you, then being a good training partner yourself is key.
That's absolutely right.
So I know you take a certain approach to your diet. Do you have any, which I coach multiple jiu-jitsu athletes, but you having been a competitive athlete for many years yourself and on a very, very high level, do you have any suggestions as far as how you go about training outside of jiu-jitsu for that to complement jiu-jitsu and your nutrition?
Yeah, great question. So what my family did about 3 or 4 years ago now is we actually went gluten and dairy free. Mm-hmm. And so, no wheats, no breads, no cheeses, no creams, all that good stuff. Just that alone toned up my body, just because it cuts out a lot of junk. It cuts out a lot of the crap that's not good for you. And that's what I've done the last 3 or 4 years. I've lost 10 pounds. I don't exercise anymore now than I used to. I don't necessarily eat less or anything than I used to, but just because I cut out all the gluten and dairy, I've lost 10 pounds. My body's toned up. I've got more energy. So that's what's worked for me. And I know I've chatted with you before about, getting on some of your plans, because I think what you've done for Derby City and so many other people out there, it's phenomenal what you've done to help people out. And I certainly could take some advice from you and would love to at some point. But so far what's worked for me is just being gluten dairy free, and overall I feel a lot better. My blood work, man, I do my labs probably 3 or 4 times a year. I've had some different scary blood work indicators over the years, some different critical markers over the years that I've been concerned about. I went gluten dairy free and everything is cleared up. I just had labs last Thursday. I actually got my results back yesterday, and every single marker was within normal range. So that diet has helped me both from like an energy standpoint, a training standpoint, a recovery standpoint, a weight standpoint, and also my blood work. So with one of the points you made there, I kind of wanted to touch on this real quick for anybody listening who is maybe getting involved with this sort of thing or just in general. The changes you made led to a more anti-inflammatory approach in your diet.
And, whenever you consider strength training, jiu-jitsu especially, and so on, your body's getting beat up a bit. And even in a safe setting, and so you're getting beat up a little bit. Your body's going to have to recover and so on. Eating in a manner that is going to be, anti-inflammatory is going to help with recovery so much and allow you to get so much more out of your training and be able to train more often. If you're not being mindful of that and you're just eating whatever, you're eating processed foods, a bunch of junk and so on, inflammation is going to be more rampant in your body and you're not going to recover as well, especially if you have, pre-existing joint issues. I know a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, can tend to get beat up over the years and their joints ache. Being mindful of that and eating in a way that is going to be complementary of your goals and keep inflammation at bay will really lead to a better experience overall with your health, but also with your training and being able to recover and get on the mats more.
Yeah. And I mean, that's exactly why we went this route in the first place. You talked about being lowering inflammation. Mm-hmm. That was a big reason. So my wife had some health conditions. My kids had some health conditions. And as a family, we all went that route. And a lot of it was just simply to reduce inflammation and its impacts on the body.
Yeah. And we've talked some about this, you and I, but myself having had joint issues since I was a kid, as I began to be more educated in this field and taking an anti-inflammatory approach myself and then carrying that over to my clients, you see such a big response from people when they start to, get rid of the foods that are causing inflammation and, upsetting digestion. And you see them actually, their body begins to respond differently and they can actually digest the food, make use of it. They're feeling better. They're not as achy. They thought they had, this was bad or that was bad, but now they feel a little better. But it all starts with what you're fueling your body with, like when we say you are what you eat, well, you literally are. Like what you're eating is what's making new cells in the body and, and how your body, digests that and makes use of it is everything.
And I like you mentioned how your body absorbs it and gut health, right? Gut health is also critically important. I'm actually going through a few things right now with some gut challenges. And I know you've got a partnership with the First Optimal. Yeah. So you guys kind of co-promote and help each other out. I'm actually going through them right now for some GI mapping to check out what's going on in my gut. And then I'm going to, do a bit of a cleanser and then a rebuilding my biome and all that fun stuff. So that's another important part. Yeah, eating the right thing, but then also making that sure that your gut health is optimal so you can absorb it correctly and utilize it.
Yeah, and a more proper way of saying what I said earlier is you they say you are what you eat. Well, you are what you can digest well and make use of, rather. Yeah. And there's the new product from Clinical Labs. I've been using it for quite a bit. First thing in the morning before I eat the GI Kickstart.
It's been great.
And it's
got 5 grams of glutamine. It's got your lemon juice powder, your aloe vera extract powder, apple cider vinegar, everything you need in it to make a good morning drink. Because I had the same issues as you, Jeff, where I had to do some GI mapping and I had to spend a good period of time doing like a low FODMAP diet and really restricting myself to get my gut healthy again from just years of, high protein and, diet strategies to get as lean as I needed to that weren't as healthy as they could have been. So it did help, but it was very strict for a long period of time, and a lot of people aren't willing to do that. It's, it requires no gluten, no dairy, no alcohol is a big part of that. And I feel like that's one of the parts where people really struggle with. They're like, oh, I can't really eat anything I like, but it's worth it. It's very much worth it.
That was my thought.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
So that was my thought when we went gluten dairy free 3 or 4 years ago is, man, I can't have anything good anymore. But to your point of it being worth it, I feel so much better today. Now it's just a normal part of my life. Feel so much better, and I'm so thankful that as a family we decided to do that.
That's smart, man, especially doing it as a family because it makes it easier. It kind of teaches new habits for your kids too that they can pass along whenever they get older. And what you eat, like I stick more to a Mediterranean style diet now. I found that's what I really like, and it helps me to stay healthy. My blood work looks great, and overall, it's also about living longer and being able to do the things we want to do. Like being able to do jiu-jitsu for another 20 years is nice to think about.
Yep. Living longer and having a better quality of life.
And to your point, you have people say, well, I won't be able to eat this or I won't be able to eat that. Nothing tastes as good as being in shape feels.
Yeah.
And, you know, whenever you start to actually feel what it's like to, to have your digestion on point and to be able to perform and do the things you enjoy without being beat up for days after, nothing tastes that good, you know. To the point that you were making about the the digestion and so on, for most people, they won't. The thing that I try to get through to people is controlling the variables. So if I don't know what I'm eating each day, then I don't know what's changed. So whenever I'm trying to sort out a problem, I don't know what is causing that because I'm not doing the same things daily. And that strictness that we talked about for a period of time, if you control the variables and you eat the same things daily, well, then any changes you make, you'll be able to get feedback from that. And that's the approach that I take when I'm really trying to sort through problems. And that's the approach that I take in general, really, is consistency with your diet. If once you find foods that you digest well and you make use of well, that's what we need to stick with. And then inside of that, when we make changes, then we'll be able to take this out, add this in. Okay, how do we do now? And until you control those variables, we don't really have a control. Like we don't have anything to compare it to. And that's how we really troubleshoot digestion and nutrition in that manner.
Yeah, and that's part of what led us to our gluten dairy free is just elimination, right? Eliminating certain things and trying to see if that made a difference. And you know, we've talked at you know, here's the thing, we've actually reintroduced gluten now to our, you know, controlling the variables. We've reintroduced gluten to see if it has an impact, but what we've reintroduced is all natural, organic, like truly organic gluten that hasn't been processed and refined. So here's what we're doing.
In it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you and Erica would love to have this conversation. So she got some organic wheat berries from someplace in Texas, and I got her own grain mill or grain harvester, I think it is, for Christmas. So she ground her own wheat berries, her own organic wheat berries. She ground it up, made her own wheat flour, made her own homemade bread a couple of days ago, and that was the first time we've actually had like gluten in years. But it's not processed, it's not enriched, it's not refined, it's not got all these additives into it that just so ruin the American food supply. And it was amazing. The bread was amazing. We feel great, didn't have any impact on us. So we're slowly reintroducing things like that, like as of last week, just to see if we can do things the right way. Now, I'm not going to go to McDonald's and buy a hamburger, right? But we are going to have this all natural, all healthy, organic wheat flour, and see if that works well with our bodies. And so far it has.
And I think a lot of times, and this is an entirely different subject that I could go on about for a long time, but I think it's not necessarily a gluten issue for most people in this country as much as it is the glyphosate, everything that's added to the bread,
all
to the
junk.
wheat products. Yeah, because, I mean, you've got this Roundup resistant wheat, and you've got this wheat that they can have ready in no time, so they can plant a new crop and speed through things. And your body is not going to digest that well with all those chemicals on it.
Now, one thing my wife does now, she's really gotten into, is kind of her hobby, is making sourdough bread. So she's got her like sourdough bread starter, and that's been wonders for me because like so good for your gut health. It's healthier, like it tastes better, in my opinion. Highly recommend. If your wife's into making bread, try to get her into sourdough starter. My wife enjoys it. It's like her favorite thing to do. She makes her bread. She gives it to her friends and my family and her mom and dad. It's something they really enjoy too.
Yeah, that's on our list. So she's actually been talking about wanting to do that. And I'm excited for it.
Oh, dude, it's awesome. You can make it all sorts of ways too. It's crazy what you can do with sourdough.
So
I think that's one of the biggest things I've missed over the years is just bread, because gluten-free bread isn't the same. It just isn't the same. There's
so much random stuff in there too, in the gluten-free breads. I feel like they just add, like, I'll look at the ingredients list on some of those and I'm like, this doesn't sound like it's better.
Is this better or not?
Yeah.
So Jeff, if somebody wants to actually find out more information about the Jiu-Jitsu Open or possibly enter into one of the competitions, how can they do so?
The best way would be to check for our tournaments on Smooth Comp. So we had an overall website when we had our partnership with 3Step, which ended in December. So that website is still up, but it's no longer being updated. It'll come down here at some point. So for the most up-to-date information, go to smoothcomp.com, search for Jiu-Jitsu Open, and all of our 2026 events are on there. We'll have some communication coming out here shortly on social media and through email and so on and so forth, just to get everything out. But as of right now, that's the best ways to check out those sites.
And then a lot of the information from previous comps, and a lot of news coming up too, I've seen on the Instagram page, right?
That's correct. So a lot of it's on Instagram, on our Facebook page. Chewy talks about it on his page. So you can check us out, Jiu-Jitsu Open on Instagram, Jiu-Jitsu Open on Facebook, and then Chewy's page is just Jiu-Jitsu, and he talks about it as well. Absolutely.
Well, Jeff, I can't wait for the show in Huntsville. I hope to be there. I would like to compete at one of the shows this year. I keep wanting to, so I think 2026 is going to be. I think I'm going to. So, but Jeff, it's always a pleasure, my brother. I look forward to seeing you in Alabama, and thank you for coming on.
All right, thank you all for having me on, and I appreciate the partnership. And I'll chat with you guys next time.
Yes, sir,
brother.
Bye.
This has been Bedson and Coffee Unfiltered. Thank you guys for listening.
Make sure to go follow us on social media.